welcome back. How's your new year going? Now don't forget, if you'd like to participate in or lead a Badass Agile chapter in New York City, Boston, Washington, San Francisco, or Dallas-Fort Worth, reach out to me at contact@badassagile.com by January 15th, 2020. All right, here's one of my favorite things to teach new teams. When you're teaching new story development, most of us, if not all of us, understand and know how to do and will teach new teams on the "as a blank I want to blank so I can blank" statement. But one of the things that's rarely discussed that I'd like for you guys to add to your toolkit of potential tools you can pull out when you need it is the business value statement. The business value statement is a further articulation of why this matters to the business, the investor, the client at large. Let me explain what I mean. A statement like, "As a customer service analyst, I want to pull a report of everyone who's not made a purchase in the last 30 days so I can send them an email to remind them about upcoming sales, deals, or discounts," is a commonplace story. The only problem with that story is that it describes very well who's going to use it, what functionality they're going to get, and why it's important to them. Now, some people might rejig that statement to say, "As a customer service analyst, I want to be able to remind customers who haven't purchased a product in 30 days about upcoming deals and discounts so that I can capture the on-the-fringe customers and convert them into buying customers." Now, some would argue that that statement's even a little better because it does two things. It describes the business value of what we're building, and it's also solution independent. So discussing a aging customer report kind of dictates that we're producing a report. The second statement doesn't really say how we're going to remind the customer. It just says that we're going to remind them about upcoming sales and discounts, and here's why that's important. But I propose that it doesn't go far enough, in some cases, in describing why this is valuable to a person who's prioritizing the backlog. It leaves too much to the imagination. A product owner reads that story, and if they're intimate with the product, and they're intimate with the audience, and they're intimate with the business, they'll look at that and say, "Well, yeah, I know why we want to do that. It's been sitting on my desk for a long time. It's a high demand feature, so I think we should do it first." And it's great if you have a business owner or a product owner who's really intimate with the scope. But a couple of things can happen here. The product owner isn't always that intimate. Also, remember, we've probably supplanted their existing business cases with these stories. So there remains a need to describe the proposed scope in such a way that we understand the ROI. And finally, the ROI can't always be expressed in revenue or in cost savings. Sometimes a story's got to be at the top of the list because a technical infrastructure piece is broken, or there's a high degree of technical dependency. So when those things happen, having an area inside the story, somewhere in the description or a custom field or on the back of the index card, where you can say this is important to do and do now because, and then state effectively a short form business case for this story. So if we know that implementing this story will increase customer satisfaction by some degree or some amount, say that. If we know that it will save the company a certain amount of money, say that. If we know that it's strategically aligned to our 2020 objectives, say that. If we know that this feature request or proposal is based on an extremely popular customer feedback item, say that. But also, the business value statement becomes a place to communicate those imperatives that come from people other than the business. Remember, a Scrum or Agile team will consist of multidisciplinary members. Someone in the room will have an intimate understanding that if you don't upgrade to the latest and greatest database, many of the proposed features and the value locked within them can't be implemented. That is just as important from a prioritization perspective as an understanding of how much money this will earn the company or save the company. If we don't have a place to clarify that, then a product owner will look inside a backlog, see some kind of non-business, aka a technical story, and won't understand why it would be anywhere near the top of the pile. When that happens, you need a way to communicate why this should go into the next sprint. And this becomes increasingly important, guys, if you're trying to create an environment where the product owner can do much of the grooming without having the entire team present, for the sake of efficiency, if they want to do it remotely on days when they're working from home, if they want to do it without pulling people into a 3-hour meeting multiple times per sprint, the product owner needs to be able to see the backlog and read the stories in such a way that it's clear why they should be done and why they should be done next. Now, if you're unsure about using this feature, remember it doesn't fit in every case. It's just a tool to put in your toolkit, so the next team that you start to bring up, watch and see what happens when you do your first backlog grooming session or two. You may find people clamoring for a way to document in more depth the value of this story, the importance of this story from a relative prioritization perspective. And you'll hear things like, I wish there was a place to put this. The as a blank so I can blank doesn't do the job. There's not enough room in the so I can to clearly articulate the real reason why this is valuable, especially when they start needing to make work more visible and start sharing this backlog with an ever-increasing audience of executive and management level members. All right, try it out. Let me know how it works for you. Guys, thanks for tuning in. As always, you can reach out at badassagile.com. Find me on Twitter at badass_agile or on Instagram at badassagile. Until next time, stay badass.